Well, hello and good day to you everyone, and of course happy gaming. This is Dark Sage Walker here, and I realized that I had recorded the Dicey Dungeons episode 4 robot victory a while ago, but haven't actually put it up on the channel yet. I did it more or less off camera because I figured, well, I didn't necessarily want everyone to see me just go into a complete rage over all the times that I didn't pass it. So let me just keep playing until I finally do get it, and then I'll talk about what I think once everything is all said and done. So this is going to be an attempt to, well, not an attempt, I'm going to show you basically what I did, and I'm going to be critically analyzing, did I do anything differently, or was it strictly luck? Because when it comes to at least the robot in general, but very much so in episode 4, kind of feels like you're not just worrying about your own roles and what you can do. You're also, and again, this is true to an extent even on the regular difficulties, but seemingly more so on the episode 4s, where you really have to hope that your opponent super rolls poorly. And again, I'm not saying that this is a definitive thing. This is just how I felt while I was playing. As you can see, it almost looked like I was going to be, walled out there, but we managed to win, got our CPU. Beautiful! So, like I said, I'm going to be going over the gameplay, I'm going to be doing some analyzing. So here we go for the fight with Stereo Head. So, this actually kind of goes a long ways to explaining one of the parts that I think is weaker about the robot, especially in comparison to the other characters. Robot really doesn't get any... I made a mistake there. I should have put the... Oh no, actually that's not true. I didn't make a mistake there. It's just that without the ability to put anything less than a 3 in ray gun, you're just kind of left out of the loop. But one of the things I did do differently in this round than I did in a lot of the other failed attempts is I'm making sure to place things as soon as I can, because there's always a good chance that you're just going to crap out, especially when the game gives you rolls like that. And what do you do about that? What do you do about that? The real answer is nothing. And it's just a shame that that's the design philosophy behind the robots. Is you either have to get super, super lucky, or you need to... I don't know why I thought that roll one more die was a better choice there. I probably could have just gone... Yeah, as you can see, Stereo Head leaves us in a real bad position. Like, absurdly bad position. And again, it's not because I'm bad at the game. I mean, I might be, let's be realistic here. But it's more so just because the game doesn't give me anything that I can work with. I mean, yeah, I ended up beating him, but it took everything that I had, brought me down to 9 health, and then I somehow have to take on another monster with that? And this is very much exemplifying what I mean here, because I know how this fight goes. Dryad, she doesn't like to pull punches. Not when she's upgraded. When she's, not upgraded, it's whatever, but... Well, yeah, we do an awful lot of damage in one turn, and fortunately she rolls really poorly, because if she had rolled 3 6s, that would be game. But that's what I mean. It feels like when you're playing as Mr. Roboto here, you don't have a lot of control over how things go. You're pretty much up to the whim of that silly blackjack system of rolling his dice. Now, I'm going to take Ultima Weapon here, because I really feel as though Ultima Weapon has basically what you need to clear these episode 4s without making you want to pull all your hair out. Basically, anytime you roll jackpot as long as you have Ultima Weapon, whatever you put into it will do double damage. And that's why I also hold on to cheat code, because there's The cheat code makes it easier to hit jackpot, which makes it easier to consistently do huge damage with Ultima Weapon. By the way, in... what is it? The... episode 3, you choose, you lose, instead of Ultima Weapon is Ruby Weapon. And then his primary weapon is Buster Sword, so... yeah, I get it. It's Final Fantasy references. Cute. And that fight is no big deal. Let's see, do I buy anything here? My thought is, I think I bought Juggling Ball, but I could be wrong. Yes, Yolanda is speaking in the third person again. My thought is that, or my thinking right now, let's see if I thought this way, a few days ago, is that I would take out Ray Gun for Juggling Ball. Yep, that looks like the play. And I'm forecasting right now, because again, I played through this run once. I'm not going to stay with Juggling Ball. But that doesn't mean that Juggling Ball is bad, it just means that I found something that was going to help me more consistently win these runs. There's a nice lucky jackpot. There we go, use the Plasma Blaster. So as you can see, Ultima Weapon kind of ties everything together, but of course he rolls a 3 and a 4, so... and that's another thing that I think is something you really need to watch out for when you're doing the episode 4s, is any creature that has Snowball. Now, allow me to explain. Snowball normally is no different from Ice Shard. And that's all well and good. I'm gonna win here. But on episode 4, they couldn't be any more different. Ice Shard, on the whole, doesn't get a huge change when you... see, I believe the thinking is upgrade Ultima Weapon, because it just gets a base +2, and that puts it actually on par with Broadsword, which is already a really good piece of equipment. But then the ability to do double damage, it's just too good. I know there are some people out there that like to play it safe with Buster Sword. I see that way of thinking, I just don't necessarily agree with it. There we go. Because, especially on episode 3s, you're going to try to set yourself up with jackpots a lot. And, sorry, on episode 4. And more specifically, you're going to be in a position where you're going to be auto-rolling frequently just because there's going to be so many opportunities for it. The enemies simply do more damage, which means that auto-roll comes up frequently. It just means that Ultima Weapon is more consistent. Another 2 CPU. And here I know I'm going to buy Force Field, because frankly Force Field is amazing. Synergizes really well with Mechanical Arm, because they both basically do the same thing. The only difference being that one of them is going to do it using odds, the other one using it doing evens. And here, because there's a very good chance you're going to bust, and of course I did, you just cash out what you can. And that's why I say it being the same as a basic broadsword, not a bad thing at all. It just means that that piece of equipment can do that much more for you. Here, you put in a 1, you get 6 shield. Come on, that's fantastic. Who doesn't love that? Now, my thought is it would be smarter to pass turn. There we go. The one thing you really need to think about when it comes to playing the elimination round episodes is health preservation. Because there's sometimes just no way you're going to be able to get out of the situation that you're in without taking some damage. So if you can mitigate any of that, that's taking a very smart step. Sometimes the best way to play it is safe. And that might seem like, well, no shit, Captain Obvious, but it's not as obvious as you'd think. Force Field is going to make the Yeti fight a joke, but only being able to roll low damage is going to make the fight slow, but I'd rather have slow over getting smashed in the face. So this seems like a good time to talk about why I dislike the robots. Now, let's just take almost any two characters, or any one character against the robot. So, I'll choose almost at random. How about the Witch? So, the Witch only ever gets 3 dice, and, you know, that's absolutely fine. There we go, took a chance and it paid off. Oh, okay, this time around I didn't end up getting the Infinite Ice Age loop. Alright. Actually, that's probably a good thing. But the Witch starts with 3 dice, and, you know, they can roll up to a combined total of 18. Alright, that's all well and good. Those are the only dice she ever gets. But that can, of course, be mitigated by... I don't know why I didn't put in cheat code there. Probably because I wasn't going to be able to get shielding otherwise. That's my thought on things, so take it a bit of a slow roll. And of course, he gets a huge Battle Axe hit, but because of Force Field... So, she gets to have a maximum of 18 at any given time. Compare that to the robot, who starts with 9 CPU and ends with 15 CPU. That means at any given time, he can only roll up to a maximum of 15. In comparison to the Witch's 18, that's not very good. Now, the obvious thing that you'll probably be saying is, but you can roll as many dice as you want! Well, let's look at that. Let's say that you have a CPU of, let's just say what I have right now in the run, which is 13. If you roll like a median of 3s and 4s, incidentally, let's say that you roll 3, 4, 3, 4. So that's 3, 7, 10. Oh, you busted. So you get 3 dice of average value, and then you bust. Whereas the Witch can get 3 dice of high value, and that doesn't even necessarily need to be it, because she gets access to things like Duplicate and Hall of Mirrors. As far as I know, even if the robot can get Duplicate, it comes up very rarely, and I've never seen him get Hall of Mirrors. And I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying I've never seen it. And then blindness actually affects the robot even more so than most. Again, good timing. Simply because it doesn't just blind his dice, it also blinds your CPU count, and that never goes away. So the robot is already starting on a lower point than the Witch, and considering how much I had to say about the Witch before I understood the character, yeah, that's kind of saying a lot. At one point or another, I thought the Witch was the worst character in the game. Well, sorry, I stand corrected. I actually really like playing as the Witch now, and the Witch and the Inventor both have a very similar playstyle, which is instead of playing reactively like you tend to do with the other characters, which is just roll and see what you get, with those two you kind of want to play proactively. You want to plan things out so that if you get these proper rolls, or you have this gadget or you have this spell prepared, then you're good for just about any then you're good for just about any sequence of events. Decided to try Heatsink, mostly because I have 2 things that are working off of how many dice I roll. But yeah, the Inventor and the Witch work off of a very proactive approach where you have to kind of suss out what's going to be the most appropriate thing you can do, where you basically have to Batman your way through a scenario. What are you prepared for? What can you do? What can you not do? What's going to be the best way to get through your problems here? And unfortunately, with the robot, you don't get... Well, no, I'm not comparing them to the robot. I'm comparing them to the other characters. Sorry, I was at work super early today, so forgive me for not making a lot of sense at the moment, but I'm going to try to pull it back now. So those two play that way, where they need to play more proactively, which because of the idea that the other characters play so reactively, I think that's what kind of makes it so that other people don't really like them very much, is because you have to play them so differently than you play the other characters. You're not playing them reactively, you're playing them proactively. Unfortunately, Rotten Apple is going to get Rotten Core Plus off, which is unfortunate, but as you already know, this run does win, so wait and you'll see how we do it. Why am I not putting one in cheat code? I'm very confused. Yeah, that was me taking a risk I shouldn't have taken. But with 11 shield, we can pretty much work through enough of those worm bites so it won't make that big of a difference. Yeah, this is one of those rare scenarios where you actually want to be using Regenerate instead of Lucky Shot, or in my case, rolling an extra die. When you're in a bad position, know when to take the safer bet. Now, Rat King presents an interesting option for me because I think I opted to go Force Field with the upgrade just because being able to put anything into it is really helpful. So, getting back to what I was saying, so just about every other character works on a reactive level. And by the way, because Force Field doesn't do much against poison, this is where you would change your setup. I think in my case, I changed Force Field to Healing Crystal and Plasma Blaster. Which means that even if you're not using something that you get right away, there's a good chance that you're going to be putting it back in for a specific fight. So it's a good idea to have a lot of equipment choices. So, what problems does the way the robot rolls his dice present? Well, let's say that you have the target of 13 and you roll 3, 4, 3. So that puts you up to 10. You can only roll a maximum of a 3. And if you roll over that, you've busted. So that gives you essentially 3 dice to work with, and they're all of basically average value. Now, you could say, well, it doesn't sound too bad, but that's when you realize that any other character that has a 3rd die will be able to get a value worth of 18 out of that. And if you have open damage value, like open damage value equipment, like I currently do right now, then you very quickly come to realize why the robot kind of suffers in comparison to the others. Because if you can only sustain like a decent number of low to average rolls, then there isn't really much that you can put into your gear. Well, it looks like you're doing fine now. Trust me, this is all about fortune, and here the computer derps out, so, you know, I'm totally fine with the computer derping out, but I shouldn't have to rely on that to win, is what I'm saying. Take the safe bet. There you go. And now I can regenerate 3 more health, so we're back up to nearly full health. I can mech arm him and call it good. So the only time the robot gets to roll gets to actually roll a whole lot of dice is when he's rolling really low, or I should say when it's rolling really low. Like exclusively 1s and 2s. And again, if you have the CPU amount of 13, well, and I've had this happen to me against the Yeti, you're going to roll 13 1s. Sure, that's a lot of dice. Problem being, even with decent dice fixing, what are you going to do? Like, I've never seen the robot get spatula, so you can't turn that into a 6. And the only thing I've seen him ever get as far as dice manipulation is nudge and bump blade. And again, I'm open to being wrong about some of these things because I'd rather learn than just be an immature dipshit and just be like, oh, robot hatred. But what it boils down to is there are going to be plenty of times in which, you know, I'm going to be doing everything that I can to make things work, and it just won't be enough. There are plenty of runs where I didn't make any misplays, and I still lost because the game was just like, oh, nope. And I base it almost entirely on the idea that the robot has this strange like blackjack system with his CPU calculation rolling. Like, I'm sorry, I really don't like it. It actually comes off as a huge detriment to me. Now here we have a total of 17. If he had rolled really well, this would be game right here. But again, if I were playing as one of the other characters, I would have other means of manipulating the dice and the board. The robot just doesn't get any such luck because he gets so much less value than the other characters. He just doesn't get what it takes. And I'm playing this for you so that you can understand I'm not just whining. You really do just have to get that perfect storm in order to get through it with the robot. And this thing, not mechanical arm, the elimination rounds are already difficult on their own. They are not easy by any stretch of the imagination. They are such a big jump in difficulty that having even the smallest of detriments working against you can be just entirely damning. There you go. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Because of the robot's general lack of dice fixing, let's say you get that weird turn where you roll 13 1s, which incidentally is how you get an achievement. There's so little that you can do with 13 1s. I mean, is there even a decent way to get damage out that way? Honestly, no. So, I mean, yeah, you'll end up winning against the Yeti if he Ice Ages you, but there's not much you can do beyond that. You get good shielding if you have Force Field. But yeah, having nothing but 1s to work with against an enemy is not necessarily a good thing. And trust me, when you can only have 6 pieces of equipment out that aren't reusable, you don't get the value out of most of those dice. So you just end up with this scenario where, yeah, you just rolled 13 1s. The hell are you gonna do with it? As a change of pace, though, when you're looking at the Inventor, and I know a lot of people dislike the Inventor, I'm not without that knowledge, but when you're using the Inventor, not only does she get the full suite of dice, but she also gets a freebie in the form of her gadget. And again, I'm aware that people don't like that gadget mechanic because, oh, she has to keep getting rid of something every battle, it's so stupid. except for no, because it's completely giving you a whole new option to work with. It's giving you something that you don't need to put a dice into to get it to work. It just works. And then if you play your scrap metals properly, you can easily protect whatever it is you want to protect. You can, of course, Drake is going to make me change up my equipment in order to incorporate that wooden stake. I'm sorry, but I just don't see the robot being better than, frankly, any character. It's in my opinion that the robot is the weakest character in the game. And I know a lot of people really like him because they get that dopamine rush of, oh, I landed the jackpot, here we go! But most of the other characters have the ability to get that same level of damage off without having to worry about that blackjack mechanic. It's what ends up making the whole thing feel so wrong for me. And yeah, it feels good to hit that jackpot, but when I can get the same results or better without having to worry about the complete gamble, yeah, I'd rather do that. I really see no reason to use the robot outside of basically earning achievements. The robot to me just isn't fun. He is, in my opinion, the worst character. And I've now very much tried my best to qualify that statement. Hopefully, some of you out there agree with me. I'm going to go on a limb and say most of you probably won't. But that's fine. The whole point of a discussion like this is to, well, as I said, have a discussion, to go over opinions, make ideas known, and who knows, maybe there's more people out there that agree with me than I think. I just hope some of them actually watch this video. So, I apologize all you robot fans. I'm done everything I can to try to qualify my position, but I mean, if you agree, cool. If you disagree, you know what? That's cool too. There's 6 characters in this game. And there's no reason to think that you can only do any work with only one of them. Somewhere out there, there's someone who cries that the warrior is the worst character because he's too bland. There's someone out there that probably cries that the thief is the worst character because it's really stupid that you have to work with low rolls. At least in general. I say there is no necessarily wrong answer, but I do think it feels objective, but let's just be fair. In my subjective opinion, the robot is just the worst character. I'm glad I got Elimination Round done with him. I'm glad that I've made it somehow work. But do I think that it's something that I would want to come back to later on just for fun? I don't think so. I think if I'm looking to have fun with this game, I'm going to play the Witch, the Inventor, or the Jester. I don't have a huge problem with the Warrior or the Thief, don't get me wrong, but their playstyle is very kind of... What's the best way to put it? Milquetoast. It's one of them wants high rolls, one of them wants low rolls. So it's not that I dislike either of them, it's just that I find their playstyles to be very average. Take that for what it's worth. And again, I'm expecting some people to disagree with me. I know there's some people out there that are like, I love robots! I'm sorry, but I don't. I'm like that one weird person out there that really likes the Inventor. But again, it's because I have a thing for thinking a step ahead. I know what gadget I'm going to need. I know what equipment I want to hold on to, and I'm very good about using my scrap metal. But let's say that you get 2 scrap metals, if you just put both of them into your equipment setup, then you're not really doing a whole lot to protect your good gear. Thinking mostly about episode 2 on this one. But yeah, if you just burn all your scrap metals the moment you get them, then yeah, you're going to have a hard time protecting the gear you actually want to protect because it's not protecting anything. The whole point of scrap metal is that it's always offered first. So, anyway, that's my take on the robot. Let me know what you think. I'm expecting a lot of people to disagree with me, but let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Either you're thinking, hey, maybe he's right about the robot, or you're thinking, you know, Darksage, you're so objectively wrong. The robot is so good. Whatever you think, comment below, let me know, and yeah, this is Darksage Walker, and I'll be seeing you.